Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. Your host, Greg Fitzsimmons, sits with you. It's a few days ahead of when you will hear this. So the Super Bowl will have already happened. And it's all I can think about. It's the day before right now. I got a bunch of shit to do, so I'm recording a little early. Pitching a TV show on Monday called Help Granny. I pitched it to a few places in the last couple weeks. And we'll see what happens, but it's a game show. It's a comedy game show, which is the only kind of TV I'm interested in pitching at this point. It's fun. It's quick. You know, it's me, baby. Anyway, wish me luck. Send out some positive vibes to the West Side this week. And meanwhile, I'm sending positive vibes. I don't know where I'm sending them because honestly, if you don't listen to Sunday Papers, and I'm guessing you do because it's me. It's me and Mike Gibbons. How are you not listening to Sunday Papers? But I've had a bet with Mike. When Brady went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I said, you know what? There is a curse. When a team gives up a player as good as Brady, there's a fucking curse. And I said to Mike Gibbons, I said, Brady will take the Buccaneers to the Super Bowl this year. And he said, you have no clue. Meanwhile, they were rated one of the worst teams in the league the year before. I said, trust me, this is Tom Brady. At the time, I still liked Tom Brady. And so we bet $50 a game, standing bet every week. I said, I'll even give you the points, which is absurd because they ended up giving points to the other team almost every game this season because they quickly were so good. So anyway, he now owes me $200, and I think we're going to go double or nothing on the game. But I feel mixed because I don't think they're going to win. I think Kansas City's going to win. I hope they do because I fucking hate Tom Brady now. I started off the year liking him, but he took a $1 million payment from the PPP, from the government payout for small businesses. The same year, he got a $50 million contract with the Buccaneers. And his wife, who's worth $400 million, I looked it up, he's probably worth even more than that. And he's got to take $1 million. Meanwhile, a bunch of small business owners didn't get their fucking cash. You want to suck my dick, Tom Brady? What, you weren't good looking enough? You weren't talented enough? You haven't been successful enough? You got to fucking take $1 million from the government? Fuck you. I hope you lose the Super Bowl. Even if I lose money, I hope you lose the Super Bowl. I've talked about him. I've talked about my fall from grace with Tom Brady. But we got a betting pool going, a box. I did boxes, $5 boxes with all my friends. So maybe win some money. I didn't do my sister's. My sister does a $200 per box pool. So it's a $20,000 pool. Which is fucking crazy because, first of all, now I don't trust. That's too much money for me to trust friends. Let's keep it friendly. And so I did it for a few years with her. But I always noticed that Deirdre Fitzsimmons often won. Often won. You know, you win each quarter, and she would at least win a quarter each fucking time. I'm not calling my sister a thief. I love my sister as much as I love anybody in the world. But maybe she's not. There's a guy who made a bet for like $3.5 million. This guy in Texas he reminds me of the guy from Raising Arizona, the unfinished wood guy. What's his name? Oh, how could I forget his name? Nathan, Arizona. He reminds me of him. He placed a $3.5 million bet. Here's what I don't understand. He is betting Tampa Bay, so he gets 3.5 points. But if he wins, he only gets 2.7 million. Is that the VIG? The VIG can't be that big. Maybe it's bigger because it's such a big bet. But anyway, I wish him luck. He's on one of those sleazy fucking betting sites that I sometimes do ads for. Oh, God save me. It is amazing, though. I like watching the Super Bowl because I just like watching the best. I like to think about how football players are just like, you want to hear about my football career? You got 5 seconds? That's how long it takes. I was about 10, and my dad, who is a big 6'2" tough guy from the Bronx, decided I was going to play football. Now, I was the smallest kid in my age group, skinniest by far, and I didn't really have a lot of interest. I did gymnastics. I think that bothered my father. I think he thought this was going to straighten me out. So he put me in football, and I was so skinny, the pants with the pads in them would not stay on my legs. They would rotate sideways. They would hang off of me. So he used to put rubber bands around the pants to make them stand. Yes, to stay on my legs. And the helmet was too big. It would wobble around. And it was August. They did this fucking preseason bullshit where you got to go out there in August and it's 90 degrees and I got all this equipment on and all I want to do is a fucking cartwheel. I don't know. And so it sounds like I'm gay and my dad was a tough guy. I was by far not like an effeminate kid. I just was not into getting beat. I lasted 4 days. 4 days. My career ended with Dwayne Davis, who was this huge black kid, picked me. We're supposed to be just play. I don't know. It's fourth day. How hard are you supposed to hit on the fourth day? Fucking guy picks me up and throws me down. And I was like, fuck you, Dwayne Davis. Fuck you, football. I'm going to go play Atari. I'm going to go play Asteroids in a pair of shorts, maybe. How about that? No, I didn't wear shorts. My legs were so skinny, I wore jeans in the summer. But then you think about these guys in the Super Bowl, these 22 guys that are on the field. And there's more, there's obviously the special teams and there's the backup players. But the 22 guys on the field you think about the pyramid that it starts with. It starts with these peewee leagues. And then you get to be the kid that the high school coach is like, he's the best athlete we've ever had in our lives. That's who makes it to the NFL. Whatever town you are from, that coach remembers you. And there's folklore about you. That's how fucking good you are, that you got into college, that you got drafted by a fucking college where you played, and at that level, you became the best. You became the best player that college coach had ever seen. So you made it into the NFL. And then among those players, you became so fucking good that you got to go to the big game, the big dance. You're that fucking good. And I just like to see those guys on the field because I think all men feel like pussies at some level. And you watch these guys and you realize, oh, these are the 22. These are the 22 non-pussies in the country. The toughest guys in the country, except the kicker. But, he's not part of the 22. He comes on. I like when the kicker has to tackle the guy because everybody else missed him. That's my favorite. Sometimes they're heroes. They throw their fucking bodies into it. You can see the rubber bands around their pants, holding their pants on. All right, anyway, so let's not talk about the football because you've already seen it. And you already know that Kansas City won by 9. I'm going to say by 9 points. Let's get to some nicknames. My guest today is Pete Holmes. By the way, a lot of feedback from last 2 weeks. People love David Feldman, and many people were not excited about Jim Brewer's take on COVID and science in general, and perhaps even his politics. He was very opinionated. I felt like I had to correct him on some facts, which he was cool with because we're old, good friends, and we are still good friends. But at the same time, there was some misinformation being spewed, and I felt like I had to say something, but I think he heard it. And he made some points that I heard also. You have to listen to people that are frustrated and figure out what they're frustrated about and see if there's some truth to some of it. Because I shouldn't say there's two sides because there's the science side and that's the side. There's not another side besides science, really. But politically, there's two sides. Anyway, thanks for all your mail about that. I spent a lot of time reading through emails about Jim Breuer this week. Maureen, this is the nicknames. I asked you guys to send me your nicknames. Maureen Busdeman said, I got the nickname SP in college. I was plastered. I went to a Baptist college in South Carolina. Hoo boy. So they had internet blockers to prevent people from soiling their snow white souls with pornography. My very inebriated mind tried to find a workaround by searching YouTube. I typed sexy pussy into the search bar. Don't even know what a sexy pussy is, but some roommates walked in on me and told the entire baseball team. So my nickname became Sexy Pussy, which was then shortened to SP so they could call me it while in chapel. A sexy pussy. I think they're all sexy. Honestly, never seen one that I did not feel sexual about, without exception. And I'm talking like when we did birthing classes when Erin was pregnant with Ellen. Every Saturday for like 4 weeks, we went to birthing classes. And the lady used to show us videos of women giving birth. I thought those pussies were sexy. Absolutely. Chuck Berry has videos of, he was into women urinating. He had hours and hours of videos. He had a restaurant in I think it was in Michigan, where he hid little cameras under the toilets, and that's what got him. I don't know I don't know that a urinating vagina is sexy, but that might be the only one that's not. Nick Finarelli said we had a friend nicknamed Shithead. At the time, this friend had decided to self-nickname, and we've talked about self-nicknaming. It's not allowed, and it will backfire. He self-nicknamed himself The Best. We all thought it was lame. One day we go to Round Table Pizza, and he makes the order, and the middle-aged white lady at the counter asks for his name. He replies, "How about The Best?" Without missing a beat, she replies, "How about Shithead?" At which point, they fell about themselves laughing, and the name stuck. That is a huge tip for that waitress. The comedic timing, she fucking nailed it. Huge tip. That's when you gather everybody together, whatever you got in your pockets. It reminds me of The Jerk. Remember when Steve Martin's dog, I think his dog lit the motel on fire, and the fire department's putting out the fire, and he goes, "We ought to call you Hero." And then somebody goes, "You ought to call him Shithead." And then for the rest of the movie, he calls his dog Shithead. Was that the first line of the movie? I was born a poor black child. I think it was among the first lines. I was born a poor black child. I remember the days sitting on the porch with my family, singing in Mississippi. Singing and dancing down in Mississippi. Anyway. Caleb Ellenberg says my nickname on my wrestling team in high school was Grubnell. This came from my last name, Ellenberg, being spelled backwards. That's all it takes sometimes for a good nickname. Grubnell. When I was a kid, there was a bunch of kids that used to call me Gerg, because Greg backwards is Gerg, and I fucking loved it. There was a cartoon at the time called George of the Jungle, and everybody used to sing Gerg, Gerg, Gerg of the Jungle, friends. I forget how it went, but they sang it, and I was like a hero. A couple quick binging. I mentioned I was quarantined and I was binging on shows. I asked for suggestions. Dominic says Jiri and Haji is on Netflix, set in Japan and London. I don't say this often, but it's close to a perfect show. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics and 98% from the audience. All right? I'm all over that shit. I just got finished watching Ratched on HBO. No, on Netflix. It's fucking great. Dark. Real dark. So we're ready for our next show. And then Murray Sidlowski said The Watchmen on HBO. You don't need to know anything about the comics. Everything gets explained. I did watch some of that. Need to watch the rest. Okay. Listen. Before we get to it, let me remind you guys, premium memberships are currently available. If you go to Fitzdog.com, you can get all of my back 60 episodes of the show. Go back and listen to a bunch of Zach Galifianakis's and Sarah Silverman's and Judd Apatow's and Louis C.K. and all these fine folks are on there, and you can listen to your heart's content. Doesn't work out to much a month, and it's a nice way to support the show. You can also get your Grapefruit Simmons t-shirts on the site, and if you go to the Cameo app, you can book me to give a little message to one of your friends. Happy birthday, happy wedding, or just roast them. Whatever you want, go to Cameo. Tour date's not coming up until the end of March. I will be in Raleigh, March 25th through the 27th. Also in April, I'll be in Philly and San Francisco. Hey kids, quick message for those of you that we're all struggling a little bit during the pandemic. I know I am. If you're having trouble meeting your goals, difficulty with relationships, maybe you got trouble sleeping, you feel stressed, you feel depressed, BetterHelp is available. BetterHelp offers online professional counselors who can listen and help. This year I fell into, I guess about 3 months ago, I fell into I have depression, and it hit. It comes over like a wave. And I was, I'm used to doing stand-up, constantly having roomfuls of people laugh at me, accept me, applaud me. Okay, call me insecure, but after 30 years, I need it. I wasn't getting it. So I looked around, and it took me, I wish I had BetterHelp back then. I didn't know about them. And it took me like a month to find somebody, a lot of trial and error. And so nowadays it's easy. You just, fill out a questionnaire with BetterHelp, and they match you with a licensed professional therapist. They get in touch with you in 2 days. Sometimes you need it immediately. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is secure online professional counseling. BetterHelp counselors have therapists all over the U.S. who specialize in exactly what you need. Your area may not have that where you live. They have whatever specific things you have issues with. You can send unlimited messages to your counselor, which is really nice. Don't overdo it. She got kids. Maybe she drinks after work. Be reasonable. You schedule video and phone sessions. Everything you do, of course, is confidential. I used to hate waiting rooms. You go in person and you sit there and everybody's trying to figure out what's wrong with everybody else. Oh, that guy's he's on Facebook. Probably a stalker. Oh, look at her. She can't finish an article in People magazine. ADD. No, I don't need that. It's easy and free to change counselors if it's not working out, which is the best part. You need a good fit. It's very hard to change normally. It's more affordable than normal counseling. And also, if you have financial needs, they'll work with you. Okay, what else do you need? They've been recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states because it's been going so well. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Fitzdog radio listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com. Fitzdog. BetterHelp, HELP.com/Fitzdog. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced BetterHelp professional. Okay, thanks for listening. This week I spoke to my old friend, a guy I worked for on the television show Crashing, which he starred in and created and executive produced and wrote for, and very talented dude, good man. And I had a blast talking. You always go deep. You go deep with Pete. He doesn't fuck around. He's got a podcast called You Made It Weird. And here we are, Pete Holmes and Greg Fitzsimmons together. Pete Holmes is my guest. He's sitting in a cluttered room with outdoor furniture. His hair hasn't been washed or groomed and looks like days.
That's true. That's the whole teen. The whole teen.
And I am so happy to see you. I really am.
I'm happy to see you, man. You look like a healthier, soul-searching Bill Burr.
Dude, what are you talking about, dude? I'm not searching for my fucking soul.
It's my soul. They say, don't sell your soul. I'll sell my soul if I get a good price.
Dude, I'll fucking sell my soul after shows. No fucking... These fucking kids are showing up to selling DVDs. No one's got a fucking DVD player, dude.
You like it? You like that DVD? That's DeRosa. DeRosa taught us all. Remember? Were you in the room when Joe did that?
Oh, no, but I've heard your take on Bill Burr many times.
But then Joe figured out that he always has a woman saying, you like that? You like the DVD? Go fuck yourself. Like, that's how they end. And that, it's a tricky thing with impressions. Like, somebody like Joe did the work and figured that out. So, of course, I'm not going to do it without saying that is the great Joe DeRosa.
The great Joe DeRosa.
Great Joe DeRosa. I really am happy to see you, man. I got up. Our baby's been going through it. And I slept on the couch with her. She wouldn't let me go in her room or our room. So I slept on the couch. But then remarkably, we woke up at 9:20, which is unheard of.
Nice.
Unheard of. So I have like good sleep. It was couch sleep, but it was still good. And then Val goes, you have a podcast at 10 because we have the same calendar. So she sees what's on my calendar. And my heart just sunk because I'm just not in the mood to do what you're doing, which is hosting a podcast.
Right.
But then I saw it said 10 a.m. Fitzdog podcast, and I was elated. I was like, I just get to hang out. It's easy. It's fun. I miss you. I miss seeing people. And it's not hosting. I like hosting my own show, but you know what I mean. You have to like...
No, it's a totally different energy. I'm doing 2 other podcasts today that I'm not hosting. Yeah. And I just thought... in the morning, it's going to be, well, first of all, as you know, preparing for different guests is a very different thing. Like when I have to have on somebody that a publicist maybe approached me about who I don't know, but they sound interesting, but you're a little nervous. So you go on Wikipedia and you think of questions and you have a plan A, B, and C. And when I'm preparing for Pete Holmes, I go, hit record, I guess. And I'll probably talk a little bit.
Oh, well, I try to give that as a gift. When I'm the guest and I talk a lot, I feel good. When I'm the host and I talk too much, I do feel bad about that, even though I can't seem to correct it. I mean, like, I do try, but it doesn't seem to work. But,
there's so many different podcast experiences for people. If you think about what you get from, even in late night, what you get from Jimmy Fallon versus what you get from Colbert versus what you get from Bill Maher. I think people tune in to see the hosts. And I never believed in that thing of like Johnny Carson going, well, just make the guest look good. No, not with podcasts. With podcasts, you have to drive it.
I agree. The goal is always you want them to tune in regardless of the guest. And then that affords you... I had my best friend from high school on the show, and that, we didn't I don't check the ratings, but people still tell me they listen to it and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So if it's just a fun show, you can have smaller guests on. Right. Otherwise, it just becomes a job. I've had moments where I'm like, I got to get our ratings up because I did look at them and they're slumping because of the quarantine or whatever. And then I'm chasing people like it's like I'm a publicist and I'm the sweaty guy that's like, hey, maybe I could call in these favors. And not to put down famos, but the famous people often aren't even the best ones because they're corporations. Yeah. You're asking somebody who employs 500 people what they think about psychedelics or sex scandals or whatever it might be. It's like they have to keep in mind how many mouths they're feeding. They can't just go off and be like, oh yeah, I love drugs. They fuck themselves. Yeah. So
it's also like a little bit of work to get them off their talking points sometimes, you really have to think hard about what can I ask them they haven't already talked about.
You have no problem with that, but I'll just say, if I think they start going into like some spiel, we'll just interrupt and be like, have you
Yeah.
ever seen a ghost?
Yeah,
Like, stop
right,
it.
right,
Please stop it. If you're talking to somebody that's in the middle of a press tour too, you're really fucked. I had Paul Bettany just did it. He was actually really great, but you have to acknowledge, I mean, he was great in spite of being in the middle of a press tour, which is when you're doing press all day.
Yeah.
So, but you have to acknowledge the first question has to be, how's press going? How much do you hate this? Like, how hard is it to just talk about WandaVision for 24 hours?
Yeah, right.
And then be like, have you almost died? Have you ever almost died? Like those are my go-tos. Aliens, ghosts, and have you ever almost died are the ones that if you're just like, because I've had episodes that I haven't, there's only been like one or two, but like when I was early on where I was like, I wasn't good enough. They started taking it away from me and it was so boring or it was so political. This is 10 years ago, but it was those politics. And I'm just like, I can't release this. This wasn't an episode of our show.
Yeah. I had Josh Duhamel on recently and he was promoting something, but I was like, Josh Duhamel, I got to fucking have him on. He's gorgeous.
Help me out. Who is Josh Duhamel? I'm embarrassed.
He's a guy, he's done like some of the big Marvel things and he's like one of these guys who's like a manly man. He played quarterback in high school in fucking North Dakota. He lived through those winters and like, you know, drives a car that he fixes himself. And, you know, he's one of those guys. And I'm always attracted to guys like that because I feel like, I don't know, like everybody wants to feel manly and nobody does. And then when you find somebody who really is like truly to their core manly, you're drawn to them. Like, I want your energy.
Yeah, I absolutely, because I think there's something primal going on where you're like, this guy will keep me alive. Yeah. This guy will feed me. You know what's interesting? I'm always trying to be compassionate and trying to understand people who are different from me. And one of the things I do when I see when I would see people at a Trump rally, I know maybe a Trump rally is tricky because those are kind of the extremes, you know. But if it was somebody who really had different politics from me, I would be like, I can't guarantee, but I wonder if my car broke down, if this is the kind of person that would help me. Like they love Merca so much and pies and flags. And that's sort of part of the mythology. It's like, hey, I need to use your phone or I need... Yeah. Now that I'm saying it, I'm like, or are they people that watch too much Unsolved Mysteries and they think I'm going to come in and kill them? I can't call it. But Greg, what I'm saying is I don't know. And my wife and I and the baby went up to Lake Arrowhead. We got an Airbnb. We wanted to see the snow because our daughter...
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that. That must have been amazing with little Lila.
It was amazing. It's Lee. I'm only correcting you because we're friends. Leela.
Oh, Leela. Okay.
By the way, that's her whole life ahead of her.
Yeah, why did you do it? Why did you do it?
I heard a study that women who have to correct people, specifically women, on the pronunciation of their names grow up to be more assertive.
Oh, all right. That's good then.
That's not why I did it, but...
the boy named Sue strategy.
It is sort of the boy named Sue, but her name... And I can't wait to tell her this because I would have loved to have this much agency over my own life. That's why I became Pete. My name is Peter. But as soon as I learned you could change it to Pete, I did because I wanted to feel like I was affecting reality. And we're back to masculinity. That feeling.
You're talking to the Fitzdog, Pete.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Agency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially for some reason in Boston, which is so much like the South to me, in some great ways and in some weird ways. I just wanted to be like, wait, why aren't we all doing this? We should all be like, call me this, call me that. Like, let's get crazy. She can spell it any way she wants. Leela. We call her Lee a lot. Lee. LJ, because her middle name's Jane. We call her Lee J.
Ooh, I like that.
So she's got tons of options.
Yeah.
I really wanted a name where she could, if she's sporty, she can be Lee J. If she's artistic, she can be Jane. Jane's like that smoky, purple dress kind of girl.
Holy shit, that's exactly how I see Jane. I knew a Jane in college who was an art major, and she was like dressed like Madonna and played jazz piano. And
That's it. That's a Jane. That's a Jane.
Jane right there.
Leela's kind of a cute name, but if you don't want to be cute, I want it to be cuter, like Pete, Petey. Those are like cuting up your names. Peter just sounds like I'm here to do your taxes or something. I don't like a straight Peter. So anyway, the point is, that sounded like a straight dick. The point is, we get to a point in the mountain where we have to put chains on our tires, right? And we get out, and I've never done it before, and the baby's already crying. Like, it's just already a situation. Like, and we're giving her an iPad, and even that's not working. And that's like our big guns. We're like, all right, we'll give her an iPad. And we got the chains laid out and Val's, my hands are cold and I really have to pee. Like, everything's kind of going sideways. And I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm really convinced that I'm not saying any of this because I'm trying to be a big, strong guy and be like, I got it. But inside I'm thinking, that's not entirely true. But I'm not complaining. And then this guy who looks straight from the, like, you know, a rally. I'm really not trying to judge him. I'm just saying he just sort of looked like a backwoods guy.
Yeah.
Just came up and started helping us.
There you go.
And I was like, and I talked to him. He wasn't wearing a mask, so that's also sort of like a clue that he might be a little bit more, less LA. You know,
Yeah.
LA's, you know, he probably lives in Arrowhead.
Pickup truck.
He had something even funkier. It was like maybe an SUV pickup hybrid, but old.
Yeah.
And he didn't even ask if we wanted help. He just came up and started helping.
That's right.
And I said, because I'm an LA jerk, like, you just have to know what you are. You know what I mean? And I'm an LA jerk. And I'm trying my best. But what does an LA jerk says? I say, can I give you $40? I'm trying to think of an amount that wouldn't insult him.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too little.
Right.
But I was so grateful. This guy's got his hands. You know, I was helping. I was wrapping him around, but he's showing me what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I give you $40? And he just goes, no, pay them. Pay them. Like, there's guys that will help you up. If we can't get them on, there'll be guys up the way that you can pay. So he just declined. I don't care what your fancy is. $40 is going to get you there. It could be a bottle of wine. It could be dinner. $40.
Right.
$40. That's a lot. That's a month of a couple streaming services. Like, whatever you're into, $40 is good. And he didn't want it. And he wasn't even doing it in a Ned Flanders, like,
right.
I just want to help you. He was just doing it. He didn't say a lot. One thing he said was, I'm not in too much of a rush, is what he said. And then I said, this is your good deed for the day, because I don't know what to say. It's like, you want to say...
There's a lot of time to kill. When they're doing that for you, there's a lot of standing around.
It takes a lot of time. So I'm looking for things to say.
Yeah.
And I go, it's your good deed for the day. And he just goes, they all count. And I was like, who is this guy? They all count. Like, meaning, I don't count them. I do good deeds all day. I'm an angel. Like, and I swear if I had seen him in a Twitter feed or on Instagram, and this isn't embarrassing. I think we all do this, but I am embarrassed. You would think this guy's probably this, and this. It's what we do all day. This guy looks like this. He probably would look at me with my fucking Volvo. Look at this LA douche. Yeah. You know what I mean? He doesn't even have a winter coat on. Right. You look at his fucking... I was wearing like these New Balance shoes that sort of look like sleeping bags. Everything about me said, like... Everything, we should be so different, is what I'm saying. Like, he just looked like he kills his dinner every night.
Right. No, it's amazing, too, that mentality, because if you were in a town in the Midwest and somebody did that for you, you wouldn't in a million years think of offering them money. There's like there's a system.
It's a code.
Yeah, there's a code. You help each other and it all comes around. But I think when you're in an urban setting, like I had a very similar story when I was living in Boston. I used to drive down to New York City and do spots, or try to do spots, for like 2 or 3 years. I would drive every Saturday night. I would do my show in Boston, get in my car, which was a 69 Bel Air, and I would drive to New York City and I would do spots. And
after your show in Boston?
No. I would drive, just because I don't want to deal with driving the next day. I'd be in fucking Worcester. And so I would just drive to New York City, and I would sleep on couches. It was totally crashing. I slept on couches for a couple of years. And then I would drive.
This in the writer's room?
Yeah, right. You were holding back, Fitzy. What did you think you were going to do? Crashing Greg Fitzsimmons? Like
yes!
like NCIS? And so,
hilarious.
So I'm driving back to Boston, and it's nighttime, and I get to around Yankee Stadium on the Major Deegan Expressway, and it is the worst part of the Bronx at a bad time in New York City. This was in, the early 90s, and in my car, I get a flat tire, and it's winter, and it's cold, and this car pulls up behind me, and it's like an old LTD with big tires, mag wheels, and a big black guy gets out, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is how it ends. I always wondered how it was going to end, but
see, this is my point. Thank you for telling the story. I'm going to interrupt just to say, I wish we would talk more about these stupid systems we have in our brains, especially as we get older, that all they do is evaluate and judge. And it's not even based on reality. It's based on your conditioning, your experience, your exposure, what you've heard. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, that's why it is important that people talk about how races and genders are depicted in the media, because
that's what I'm saying.
Sometimes that's all people have to go on if they're from a town that doesn't have black people in it.
My ex-wife, her mom was staunchly anti-gay marriage, and I was like, you don't know an out gay person. Like, I just, even when I was super religious, I couldn't get over the thought of her in her kids and, like doing a little mom hop in between two men trying to get together at the altar. She's like, she's going to line back in between them in the name of the Lord. And I'm like, that's what's so great about living in New York is you meet 10,000 black people. You meet 10,000 Sikhs, for crying out loud. Right. You meet everybody.
Right.
Keep going. I just want to applaud you and say that it's helpful to tell stories where it's like we're not our brains, and our brains are fucking stereotyping, prejudice, history machines. Keep going.
Yes, so much of our decision-making comes from fear, and you just realize, God, if I could, you see a movie like Fearless, and you go like, when they get euphoric after the plane crash because they're the two survivors, and suddenly they have no fear, and they're living these kind of jubilant lives, and there's always that moment that you don't have fear and you feel more alive than at any other time in your life. Anyway, so he comes up, and I'm in fear, and he comes up, and I'm outside my car, and I've got the jack, and I can't pop the lug nut. It's too cold, and it's not turning. And this guy is fucking huge, and he just comes up, doesn't say a word.
Seems to be their playbook. This seems to be the playbook. My guy didn't say anything either.
Right. And I'm thinking, I see. He's going to take the jack. He's going to hit me with the jack. I wasn't sure how he was going to do it. And so
You're very calmly like, oh, okay, I see. That'll get me clean.
Yeah, I guess
that'll get me clean.
Turn my head so at the funeral, my face, for my mom. And so he grabs the jack, and he pops the lug nut, spins it, does the other one, and I'm just standing there. I didn't even talk for the first minute or two.
You're saying it's like 2 a.m. too? Like, forget the Bronx, anywhere this happening is
25 degrees out, like your fingers are fucking, and he does it, and I small talk with him, and he tells me he's got a catering company, he lives in the Bronx, and blah, blah, blah. And so I said at the end, I got to tell you, man, I'll be honest with you. I saw a big black guy get out of his car in this neighborhood, and I was scared, and I'm embarrassed to tell you that. And he goes, I get it. And then I go, do you have a card or something? And he gave me his business card, and he took off, and I bought him stainless steel
cookware.
Like a pot, a pie, like a little pie, like a fucking knife and a little pie, the triangle pie thing. Whatever. I bought him a really nice gift, and I sent it to him, and I said that note again. And it really did, like, it's what we just talked about. It just made me realize, like, stop. Just fucking
Yeah. Because it doesn't matter if you remember that movie Breakdown, where the guys are in the Winnebago and they break down basically in the Bronx. And this is something that Hollywood would do a lot of times, is that play out white paranoia, but that recast what would be another race, the other people, as white people. So it would sort of be okay. Remember that move?
Right. Yeah.
Like before 9/11, when it became totally fine to have like brown people be well, actually that's pre 9/11, like True Lies and all that stuff. We always used to just cast Arabs or people of Asian descent to be the terrorists. That was like okay for some reason.
Yeah.
And then we got wiser to that. But I remember in the 90s, you would never really see a movie about what we were really, it felt like to me, what we were talking about. These guys are rich white guys. They break down in the bad part of the city, but then it's Dennis Leary. Yeah. It's like Dennis Leary is like, hey, boys, let's go have a pint. You know, like. Yeah.
And they've always got on like gloves with fingers cut out.
That's right.
And like a denim vest over their hoodie.
But they're still pulling up in the SUV playing Bob Seger. It's like, is that night moves? Like, but like that was how but we knew what they were saying. It was like this coded, like, but you know, we're saying like the city. Yeah. I love that story. It reminds me, I also want to point out, I don't know if this is helpful. There is some white privilege here because as it's happening, in my case, I'm like, is this because I'm white? That's something new that I'm exploring. I can't speak to other people's experience. And I just want to concede that it may be different. If I was Kumail, you know what I'm saying? Or if I was anybody, I'd like to think it wouldn't be. In fact, my homeboy in Arrowhead seemed very, very cool. Like he really seemed like a very, very decent human. Yeah. But I do want to concede that if that's worth anything to the listeners. I was driving I love this story. I haven't told it in a very long time. I don't think I've ever told it on a podcast. I was driving to the Brea Improv. It might be. I'm forgetting the club.
That's a bad neighborhood. Brea is a bad neighborhood.
It is. Yeah. And I didn't know. Right. And I'm driving, and I did something I never do, which was I was headlining. So I was like, I'm just going to leave late. Why am I getting there and watching the whole show? I could be with Val a little bit longer. I could have dinner and then I'll leave. So that's what I did one of the nights. And I'm leaving and I remember where I was. I think of it every time I'm on that highway and I start hearing a flat tire. And I didn't know some of the areas around Brea are bad. Yeah. But I pulled off and I was like, this is that Dennis Leary movie. Like I'm in and it's bad. It's like like it's not like a mild flat. I pull into a gas station and I just don't know what to do. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure it was Joe DeRosa was doing it with me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Joe. I'm calling him. I'm telling him, like, you're going to have to headline. Like, there's nothing I can do. You just keep going until I get there. Yeah. And who knows, these fine people, you know, Joe's one of my favorites. It might be a treat. Just bought tickets to Joe DeRosa and they don't know it. I'm calling the club. And I park I find a gas station. And by that, I mean, I put in the GPS. I get to a gas station and I park. And I ask them what to do. And they're like, you can call a tow truck. But I do not like this neighborhood. I don't like where I am. I don't like the feeling. The same feeling you were talking about when you were with a really manly guy. I have the opposite feeling. Suddenly, everything I'm wearing, my stupid Lululemon pants, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am the guy who is in the movie that's like, why am I wearing this shirt? Like a yellow shirt.
Yeah. It's like being caught naked somewhere.
It is.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be seen this way in this place. Yeah.
You don't understand. I'm a comedian. I'm supposed to kind of look fun and friendly. And now I just, every once in a while, like we were on the street, there are a lot of homeless people, unhoused people on our street. And oftentimes they're unhinged, like they're dangerous sometimes. Sometimes they have weapons. Like, this is a weird thing to tell you, but the pandemic's been strange and it's been hard on unhoused people, but these are unbalanced people as well. So we're on the street I'm taking the garbage cans back in, and this is a different story, but a young black man comes up to me. And he has like Demolition Man hair. He's got like dyed yellow hair, and like he just doesn't look right. But what am I doing in that moment? I'm making a lot of judgments. And he's walking right up to me. And I'd like to think it wasn't racial, but he came up and is like, do you live here? And I'm like, what is this? That's just like, do you know what time it is?
Yeah.
Or do you have a cigarette? This is just the intro question that leads to give me your car or give me whatever. I don't know.
Right.
And Val is there holding the baby. And I gave, you're going to laugh, Fitz, because you know me. I gave my biggest, like my manliest, what's up? Like I tried to communicate in my voice that I was a Papa Bear. I was like, what's up? What's going on?
Right.
Like really deep and like strong. And I'm holding the recycling. Yeah, I recycle. Yeah. What of it? I separate the parts of the coffee cup, you know. And then he just asked me the most innocuous question. Somebody on our street was selling a car, and he was like, do you know who's selling that car? And I switched to the nicest. I was making up for it.
You were overcompensating. Yeah.
I overcompensated and was like, direct, loving eye contact.
You want to hold the baby? Come here, hold the baby. Yeah. Right.
But like, if I can't put myself fully in someone else's shoes, but I'm like, if I went up, I don't know, man. It's a fuck it up thing. I don't know what judgments people would make of me. Again, my yellow shirt and my race and all these things. But I was so embarrassed that someone had caught me. And then I said to Val, I was like, Jesus, I just wish I was more open-hearted. I wish I was the kind of guy that would say, what is it, friend? Before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What can I do for you, brother?
Right,
before they show that they're not a threat.
Right.
But then Val said something funny. She was like, look, when I'm holding the baby and we're on a street with a lot of crazy people, I don't mind if you play, you know, I want to say Chuck Norris, but, you know, like play Greg Fitzsimmons just for 5 seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to see if it's a threat and then be St. Francis and offer him some soda.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, I get to the gas station. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to make the show. And Fitzdog, this, you know how famous I am. I'm not that famous, meaning we've been out in public. It's not a problem.
We're gonna make the movie on time.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah. You can. We're gonna make the movie on time, but we're not gonna get a special table at a restaurant. None of that's gonna happen. I'm actually. We could talk about that, but I'm very pleased with my level of fame. It's in the Brian Regan zone, meaning nobody's bothering Brian Regan, but if you like Brian Regan, you're very excited to see him.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where I'm at, although Brian Regan is one of my heroes. This young woman is filling up gas, and she goes, are you Pete Holmes? And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And I go, yes. And she goes, oh my God, I really wanted to come see your show. And I was like, would you like to right now? And I knew, I have told this story before because I used to be very careful to tell her name. I remembered her name for years.
Yeah.
And she drove me to the show.
Nice.
I got her in, obviously. And I told the story. You know when it just happened and you're late? That energy, burned off the story of like what a flat tire is like and what a bad neighborhood is like and all the thoughts that are in your head. Yeah. And then the angel that saved you and you got to the show and everyone's cheering. Yeah. And it was one of the greatest shows ever. And I think...
And you pointed her out in the crowd and you said, this woman got me here?
Of course.
And they went crazy?
They went crazy.
Oh, that's great.
I'm sure we covered her chicken fingers or whatever, but... It's moments like that. The guy who changed or put our chains on, his name was Steve, and that young woman whose name I don't remember. These are moments where we see ourselves in the other. This is the juice. This is the best stuff of life. It's one of the things comedy can do when you're telling, and I'm saying a fucked up story to actually celebrate it. When you're telling some shameful story from your youth or whatever, some embarrassing story, that is also this invitation. That is sort of like, let me change your tire or let me drive you to a show. It's like, let me show you that you don't have anything to be embarrassed by. You know what I mean?
Right.
And anytime you can see yourself in a performer or see yourself in a comedian's train at a gas station, or see yourself in the most yuppie looking schmucky guy in his dumb Volvo and go, that's just another ape. If you want to, not even spiritual at all, I love getting spiritual. Just, there's another one of us. And I know what it's like to be cold. And I know what it's like to be embarrassed that you don't know how to put chains on your tire. And I know what it's like to be stranded at a gas station and you don't know where you are. It's why most of the fundamental world religions sort of boil down to the golden rule.
Right. And I think what's interesting is like when people talk about gays, the whole joke from the time you're 8, when you start saying, hey, fag and whatever to your friends, is that somehow gay people are not tough. But you tell that to a guy that will wear effeminate looking clothing and maybe mascara and do his hair in a way that's, true to however he's feeling about himself and he wants to project outwardly.
But he's also doing
and that guy's going back to his tough neighborhood in Spanish Harlem, just like that. That's fucking tough.
Yeah.
Walking around just being, and it's obviously a metaphor for being yourself, and all of us to whatever extent you wear a yellow shirt and, puffy shoes or whatever, like to the extent that we can own who we are in any situation is, I guess that's the definition of actualization, right?
Yeah. Authenticity. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
I'm hesitant to say this because it's not my bit. And I don't know whose bit it is. And it almost could have been like at the open mic time or the early time in my career. But I saw this guy. Please at me at Twitter if anybody knows whose bit this is. But it killed me. He goes, "You have sex with a girl?" It's like, this isn't how he phrased it, but he's like, that's so gay. He's like, they smell like perfume and they're so gentle. He's like, I fuck a guy who then goes and builds a shed. It's like the most I remember that line. And then he goes and builds a shed.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Was it Solomon Giorgio?
No, yeah. I would know if it was Solomon, but it's something. I mean, he has bits like that. That are so funny.
Oh, that's good.
It's like in hip hop, I think a lot of, I'm not saying hip hop is homophobic, although it can be, just like anything can be. When rappers are like, I like it raw and I fuck so many girls, basically what they're saying is I'm an ambitious gene. They're saying I'm powerful. Yeah. By the way, so is Motley Crue, so is Bruce Springsteen. It's just saying like, look at how desirable, look how virile I am. Yeah. But when they're like, I fuck all these girls with no condom and all that stuff, they're just saying, I'm going to reproduce. See this? There's going to be more of this.
Right.
And with homosexuality, I think one of the things in the primal level of our brain, people look down as they're like, well, how are they going to produce? How are they going to make babies? Because we're such a production society. Obviously, there's adoption and there's surrogacy and all these different things. But I think in your simple lizard brain, that's when we were kids, we're just going like, but how are you going to win? How are you going to knock up a girl and keep her in the kitchen? And like, that was our culture, was like my dad is still so disappointed that neither of his sons looks a lot like him. He's still upset about it.
Yeah.
I think we look a good amount alike, but he'll tell a story. He was like, I remember when you guys were born and I looked at you and I looked at your mother and I looked at you and I looked at your brother and you didn't really look that much like me. And I'm baiting him and I go, was that disappointing to you, Dad? Of course, he's supposed to say, are you kidding me? It was the most beautiful day of my life. These two angels had been given to me. He didn't say that. He just went, yeah, it was disappointing. I wanted a little Jay Holmes running around. Like,
right.
That's hip hop. That's machismo. That's ambitious gene.
Right. It's Donald Trump putting his name on the side of every building that he built.
And on every kid. Right. My dad named my brother John. I mean, is there anything? We're back to Leela.
Yeah, I got a brother named Bobby, and my dad's name was Bob. That is something that's gone. That's a bygone thing, isn't it? Naming your kid after yourself. That doesn't happen anymore.
I think it might be happening, just maybe not in our circles. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it's one of the most. It's a real burden, I'll say. It seemed to be a burden for my brother, who was a very different personality type from my father. My dad is a real press the flesh ham. He's a fearless politician type guy. I don't mean politician in the way we often use it, like he's a liar or bad.
Right.
I just mean he's the mayor of Lindell's Bakery in Somerville. You know what I mean? Like they know him, they love him. Here's your cookies.
Yeah.
And my brother's a thoughtful, creative, quieter writer type, and it's like, it sucks to be named Frank Sinatra if you don't want to croon. You know what I mean? Or
yeah, right. Luckily, that Frank did.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
And his daughter, too, right? His daughter is a singer as well.
Let me ask you this. I've been asking all of my guests this because I've the kind of a podcast where people really, they want to see refillable bits. And this is a branding of Fitzdog Radio. What
Three
did
times a week.
What did you...
That was such a good example. I wasn't even trying to bust your balls, but whenever I'd see you, I'd go Fitzdog Radio, and you'd smile and go 3 times a week. And I was like, that, don't let anyone fool you. Both of us became this way because it was a defense and survival mechanism, and you still see it. You still see it 3 times a week. You piece of shit.
All right, so here's what I've been asking people. What have you learned about yourself in the last year?
I know the answer right away. I am a cat pretending to be a dog. That is my answer. I learned to be a dog and to act like a dog because people like dogs, but really I'm a cat. And I'm one of these guys. First of all, I want to concede that my basic needs are met. So I think it was Nick Turner tweeted, the funniest people of this quarantine are the well-off people, the successful people cosplaying like this has been a hard year. Yeah. And I was like, that is so fucking funny. Because my heart goes out to people that are struggling and dealing with a quarantine. I'm dealing with a quarantine, so like leave me out of the conversation on how hard this has been.
I talked to my mom yesterday, and she's down in Florida, and she plays golf with an Italian woman from Italy who's 81. And when people complained about the quarantine, she said, in 1945, I was 5 years old, and I lived in a cave for a year, and we ate grass.
Wow.
During World War II. So don't tell me about how hard it is to get toilet paper.
That's so...
Yeah.
I love that. I didn't even mean to do an overtly kind of Italian gesture, but that is so fucking right on. And my mom was raised in a refugee camp and had to like...
Lithuania, right?
Yeah, in Lithuania and leave... these and she got like she's in Boston and she's Lithuanian, which at the time was the flavor of the week to be racist. This is the Chris Rock bit. They're racist to other types of white people. So if you have an accent and you're from the Baltic region, it's like you're getting rocks thrown at you on the way to school. So my mom, and I think about this all the time, the people that have bigger problems during the quarantine. You know what I mean? We're seeing divorces. We're seeing there's still people being diagnosed with horrible things, all this different stuff. So I just want to concede that this has not been that rough. So take everything I have to say with a grain of salt. But when I cleared my calendar, I was on tour. I was actually in Cleveland when the lockdown or the first whatever happened. And I remember just sort of being like, okay, I wonder, I wasn't that upset about getting a break. At first. And then like, I started watching how Val, who really is a dog, and I mean that of course as a compliment, she's a sweet, like a puppy. She's like missing her friends and she's like missing going out and she's missing novelty. She was totally not whiny about it. I was just seeing that she was missing it. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm doing fine. And like, here we are. How long has it been? 10, 11 months? It's like, I'm still okay. I know that I need things that I don't know that I need. Meaning if Val's like, let's go to Lake Arrowhead and play in the snow, my instinct will be, why would we do that? That seems risky, but I'll just shut up and do it. Because when I get there and Leela's eating the snow and we're on a sled and we're laughing, that's when you ever have to do that. You ever have to veto yourself and just, I feel like that comes with age where you're just like, Pete is not the best guy to steer Pete's life. Pete
right, and I think it's why you marry somebody who's different from you. And I believe, and not to cut you off, but like my son who is more like plays it safe, down the middle, played sports, likes rules, likes to follow the rules. He's very good at following the rules. And then he's got this friend Gabriel, who's like this Renaissance man, and his father's like a real outdoorsy guy. They've got this like, they've got a fucking little cabana down in Mexico, and the Baja Peninsula's got no running water. And they go down there and they surf. And they drive down, and Owen goes with them. And he's scared to do it, but he does it. And he comes back and he goes, Dad, that was the best weekend of my life. So Saturday, they got in a car at like fucking 6 a.m. and they drove up. I don't even know where they went, but there's hot springs like 3 hours from here. And you have to hike 3 miles through the snow to get there. And he went, and everybody's naked, and he comes back and he goes, and this guy Gabriel, like, and he was an Eagle Scout. He knows how to make a fucking tent, a fire. And when we were in Catalina Island this past summer, there was a summer camp that was abandoned, obviously, because of the quarantine. And so a guy I know called up the summer camp, and he said, hey, what do you guys think about this? You've got a dozen cabins. What if we come out with 12 families, and each family gets a cabin, and we socially distance, and we rent out the camp for a week? And we did it, and it was the fucking greatest week, because like we each had our own little canoe, and we went snorkeling, and we had big bonfires at night, but we kept separate. Anyway, so we're out there.
Whoa.
And Owen tells Gabriel that he's going to be out there, and Gabriel goes, oh yeah, we got this old sailboat. We're going to sail out there. So he comes by and swings by and picks up Owen, and at midnight they dive in the water with headlamps, and they go lobster fishing with their hands. And it was just like,
my God.
And I said to Owen, isn't it a gift when you're friends with somebody that takes you out of your comfort zone? And my whole life, all my best memories are with my friend Pete Scott, who's like that, and with Kyle McGovern, who was like that.
That's
and
right.
And during the quarantine, I'm not doing shit because I can't be around those people that make me do stuff.
First of all, what amazing parenting. I feel, I don't want to judge my folks, but I think they would have been like, I don't know about that Gabriel guy. You know what I mean? I think there would have been a little like, he seems dangerous.
And your mother's going, Gabriel? Doesn't sound like a saint to me.
It sounds like an angel. It's like the key, one of the things that I'm really learning, we've already said it, is you are not right. I get off the phone with my dad, and I see my dad in myself, and there's parts of my dad that I'm so glad are in me. I couldn't be more grateful for the gifts that he gave me. And I'm not just saying that so I can shit on him in a second. I'm saying like that president or mayor of the bakery thing, right. That's what stand-up does. I don't know if you've heard my theory. Stand-up is the guy who comes late to dinner. The comedian is arriving late to a dinner. And that's why everyone looks to you and it's like, why are you late? Why aren't you sitting with us?
That's interesting.
Attention. Yeah. If you've ever come late to a dinner, you know kind of what it's like to do stand-up. Because look, there's an expectation for you to say something. Why were you late? Mm-hmm. And I guarantee they're going to laugh. If you make any effort to be like, I swear we were in the central time zone. Everyone's going to laugh. Yeah.
Plus, it's a little bit of a power move. It's establishing you is more important.
And yes, you're in the spotlight. So I got that from my dad. I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't watch this like superhero of a man. The downside of that is when I talked to my dad, I was talking to him about COVID tests, right? And I was like, you should get a test. And he was like, everybody that takes those tests, it's positive. Some like local Boston mythology that's going around. It's like, oh, you take a test, it's going to be positive, Jay. No, every test you take is fucking positive. That's how it works. And then they send it to the government. And that's where you get these fucking inflated numbers, Jay. Right? And I just go, Dad, I've taken the test for work and stuff. Well, let's not say dozens, but a dozen times. I've had a lot of tests and I've always been negative. And he just goes, and then he just moves on to pre-existing conditions or everybody's over 80. And I'm like, Dad, you're 77. Like, I don't understand why you're taking comfort in those 3 years that you're not 80. I don't understand why you're not freaking out. But here's the point. I hang up the phone and I always go, and I actually had it on a Post-it on my bathroom mirror for a while. Don't forget, you might be full of shit. I'm not saying my dad is full of shit. I'm saying we're all full of shit. And this is actually what I think we mean when we say humility. It's not just being like meek and gentle. It's remembering that you might be full of shit. It's remembering that you're not the best person to steer your life. I need Val taking me to Lake Arrowhead. I need stand-up was really that for me. I had this desire to be like, hello, my baby, hello, my honey. And I'm glad I had that. And then stand-up was this like, is this exact cocktail of what I want and what I don't want, shooken up. I don't want a room full of 300 drunks. What is this, dinner at the Holmes house, 1989? Like, I don't need that. Like, that's the scariest thing for me. But if you go in and you kill it, you're reminded that even drunk people, or maybe they weren't even drunk, there's kindness there too. There's laughter here too. There's joy here too. We can all get on the same page. We can all co-conspire to laugh about these things. And you leave feeling like 10,000 Steves in Lake Arrowhead just changed 10,000 tires for you.
Right, and it's not even that we can all be on the same page and relate, but to me, what's affirming is when I'm different than them. When I go to the Deep South and I talk about my politics, which I don't do a lot of, but the little bit that I do, and they accept, I go, oh no, people are capable of accepting people that are different than themselves. Yeah, which is even more empowering, and it makes me sometimes think like, that's why I like that I'm not super famous. I like being in the middle. Because when I go to a club, I just did the Tempe Improv, it's like 500 seats, and half those people came to see me at each show. Yeah. And half of those people came because it's the Improv. And so I love that they have no fucking idea what I believe. They haven't been listening to Fitzdog radio 3 times a week. They are just going to experience a guy for the first time, and I have to kind of win them over, and I have to be challenged by the fact that they don't agree with me. That, to me, is what stand-up is all about. This
isn't false humility, Fitz. My numbers are similar. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if I do Largo, I do miss Largo very much, even though I'm a cat. Largo is a cat place. It feels like stand-up for cats. If I go to... I remember one of the last gigs I did was the Orlando Improv with Lara Bites. And we had a lot of fun, but I would notice, like, wait, a lot of these people have no... You could tell in the way they're laughing, they don't know me. They don't, like, you want to just start in the middle of the conversation, and then you're realizing 50%, maybe 30% on a Saturday night, like that's the one that sold first. But like on that Thursday, you might be looking at like 50% need you to say, I know I look like a youth pastor, or I understand this is confusing. Why am I being this way? But that is like everybody wants to be a writer, right? Like, I think if you push a lot of people, somewhere in them that'd be like, I think I could be a writer. What I find difficult about writing is there's no deadline. So anybody listening, if you think you could be a writer, I'm actually not saying like, shame on you can't. I'm saying, yes, you can. The difficult thing is finishing. And the great thing about stand-up is it introduces pain. It introduces stakes, meaning if I don't write, if I don't get a good punchline or a good topic, or even if you're going to improvise on stage something rich, you will suffer. The feeling of my divorce was the same flavor of pain as a bomb. Yeah. It's not a special pain when your wife leaves you. It's the same pain I felt in Peoria opening for Bill Burr at Brewster's. No, it was Brewster's. And just eating shit, eating absolute shit. And this is always the worst heckle. What? I would get that a lot. What? I once was in Boston and I was bombing bad. Like,
like so bad that like if you're bombing a little bit, they heckle you in Boston. And if you bomb a lot, they just stop listening.
Yeah, and they don't even want a part of it.
No. And so I delivered a punchline and I was leaving air for where a laugh would in theory happen. And I overheard this woman in the front row whisper to her husband. She wasn't heckling me. She was whispering it. She goes, "The poor bastard."
Wow. Wow. When they didn't even mean it to be mean.
No, they were actually, they had genuine pity for me.
Did you tell me this story? No, Mulaney told me this story. This guy's killing at Stand Up New York. I don't know who it was, but he was murdering. And there was one guy in the front row not laughing the whole time. Just stoic, as if this guy had killed a member of his family. Just nothing was working. Forgive me if I told you this. We've spent so much time in the writer's room. You've probably heard all my stories. But he leans into the guy, into the mic. Everyone's laughing. He's doing it during a laugh. He goes, "I agree with you, but we're outnumbered." Isn't that the essence?
I never heard that. That's fantastic.
It gives me the chills. It's like the core. Stand-ups, here's what people maybe don't know. I feel like stand-ups know, like if you're going to go and watch a stand-up comedian and be like, this guy sucks, he's not funny, that's not that funny. We know that we are participating in a ritual and a system that can, if you're funny, if you're good, if you practice, if you work at it, benefits the stand-up. Meaning, watch I'm Telling You for the Last Time, Seinfeld special. The first line is, "So what's with the cab drivers and the BO?" It's the first line.
Which special?
I'm Telling You for the Last Time. It was a couple ago.
Okay.
This was in like the 90s. I mean,
I literally just thought you were saying that you were telling me for the last time to watch.
No, it's called I'm Telling You for the Last Time.
Okay, that's hilarious.
The first line is, "What's up? So what's with the cab drivers and the BO?" The laugh, because I used to analyze stand-up and I would write like 7, 8, like I'd type it up and like write like Dat Fan. Remember Dat Fan would do that?
Yeah.
I would I'd write it out just because I was trying to understand it. And it got like a 7. It gets like a 30-second laugh. Why? Because Seinfeld's being Seinfeld. Look, he's doing Seinfeld.
Yeah.
He literally he knows what he's doing. He's starting with "What's with the cab drivers and the BO?" Pretty funny. Like the critic, the guy at Stand Up New York who's not laughing, is right. You know what I'm saying? Meaning like, that's not that funny. I remember my brother when I was starting stand-up, he was like, "Just say fuck and they'll laugh." He's not wrong. That criticism isn't complete. But what you're seeing is the same thing that's going on at a hockey game when someone checks someone and everyone goes, "Rah! Was it that exciting?" No, but it's your team. Yeah. And it's game night and you're there to be a crowd. But the critic and the over intellectualization of a stand-up experience can be like, "That's not that funny." And you know what? No one knows better than a stand-up. I can destroy, and then I'll get off stage and I'll still be like, "I've told that joke and it's gotten 0. But tonight, everything was right."
Yeah.
They were happy to see me. I was happy to see them. The warm-up was right. The music was right. Their moods were right. And it just hit. When you come to Largo, you smash it harder than anything. And I've seen you in other places. I've been on the same show. We're telling the same jokes we tell at Largo, and they're getting a 65%.
Right.
And then you go up there and everything's right, and it's a beautiful theater, and everybody's in a good mood, and they just saw Sarah Silverman, and now here's Fitzdog, and you're always, it feels like being extra offensive at Largo, and it's just a shock and a delight.
Yeah.
Did I make my point? I'm trying to say people that are critical of anything aren't wrong. They should just lean into the unfairness and use it to their advantage. You're right, but we're outnumbered. You can know that and still enjoy. It's like surfing and saying to a wave, like, "I couldn't do this if there wasn't this huge wave here."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But we live in the ocean, so just enjoy it. Like, why are you poo-pooing what's funny?
I think it's like I just had on, who did I just have on? Oh, Jim Brewer. I just had on my podcast, who, by the way, A lot of conspiracy theories have made their way into his head.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I love Jim. He's a good friend, but I mean, it was like we went pretty fucking toe to toe on some issues.
He's sort of like that, right? I mean,
well, he's a blue collar Long Island guy, and I think a lot of his friends are from that world still, so he's not in a bubble by any means.
I guess he's in a different bubble.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I meant, is that, like, I remember when I did his radio show and I go to the Sirius building in New York and I'm expecting to see him, but he's calling in from his house. I was like, and the way that he loves the Stress Factory and what's the owner of the Stress Factory, his name?
Vinny Brand.
Vinny, very nice guy, sweet guy. He cherishes his salt of the earthness.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening, that's what I was making fun of my dad. But I'm catching myself. I'm trying to have compassion for my dad. My dad is just me in Boston, and I'm 77, and I'm hanging out at Dunkin' Donuts, and somebody goes, "Hey, I take the test, it's going to be positive. That's how it works, Jay." What I'm saying is, his feed, it's not just your Twitter feed, it's your surroundings, it's everything. We are an adaptive and a reactive system to what's around us. This is where understanding can come from. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So he's getting a different feed.
Right. So I say to Brewer, because he's such a music fan, he loves metal, Metallica comes to his shows and all that stuff. And so I'm asking him, I gave him a list of songs, guilty pleasure songs, and I wanted to know, do you crank the volume and turn up the windows?
That's a line I use.
Oh, really?
I go volume up, windows up.
Oh, all right. So
I actually literally, it's been so long since I've talked to a comic. I'm like, I just don't want you to think I steal that. I go, Kelly Clarkson, volume up, windows up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So I did volume up, windows up with him. And it was funny because I was shocked. Like, our lips are sealed. He's like, windows up, volume up. And I was like, really? And it was like, I think that's kind of what you're saying is like, you can look at that and go, the bass line, a fucking 7-year-old can play the bass line. The lyrics are kind of candy ass, but yet the song is ultimately a badass song. And
Our lips are sealed?
Yeah.
Our lips are sealed. That song?
Yeah.
That's so
something
funny.
Actually kind of badass about it. And it was just so funny to hear him be free enough to admit that that's a song that he loves. And I think that that's what, the same thing with, like, the person saying it. Yeah, I know that. What's the line? I know this is, but we're
outnumbered. Dude, I agree with you, but we're outnumbered. We're having the same conversation. This whole conversation has had a theme to it. And I think it's about who we really are. And when you're looking at your brain, you need to have humility and go, am I really even authentic to myself?
Right.
And here's a good example. My windows up, volume up is Dave Matthews. That's embarrassing, I suppose. But, like, what happened? In, like, 1999, we all just went, fuck that shit. Like,
I know.
But what happened? Like, we don't like it anymore. Or Nickelback. Look at this photograph. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
That sounds exactly like whatever the fuck is in vogue right now.
Yeah.
It's all shit. Meaning, it's not bad.
I mean, Coldplay, a fucking great band who just suddenly people went, it's not cool.
I listen to Coldplay, especially because I have a baby. I listen to a lot of Jack Johnson, a lot of Coldplay. I'm trying to put on things that are kind of like calm and easy for her.
Right.
But I like them. I have no problem with them. But, like, where's the humility when we go, like, if you listen to, I'm trying to think of, like, Billie Eilish, right? So Billie Eilish is cool. And I like Billie Eilish, and I put that on for Leela, too. We have dance parties, and it's great. But, like, the version of going, that's not that funny when you watch a stand-up can be applied to pop music and be like, that's not that good. But what happened, and you know this, it was packaged. Billie Eilish has an image. She has a style. She has a PR team. And I'm not taking anything away from her, but it was appropriately presented at the right time in the zeitgeist, and it blew up. And people who understand the zeitgeist know which way to lean things, and I'm not taking anything away from Billie Eilish, but that was a success. But, like, a Billie Eilish song, I'm trying to think of someone who's like Billie Eilish who sucks, could be very similar. What I'm saying is the hit, who's like the cool Nickelback now, the cool rock band now?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, it's kind of like country has become the new cool, like Jason Isbell. You know?
Okay, so Jason Isbell goes, look at this photograph. You're telling me we wouldn't jizz our jeans? Of course we fucking would. Because your opinions are like your thoughts. And your thoughts, an opinion is just a thought that you have over and over. And your thoughts are so susceptible to influence. As I always say, we think Coca-Cola is a good time at the beach. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We think Milk Duds are a better time at the movies. Advertisers understand that
tomato
our thoughts,
juice on a plane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Or like this type of jacket looks great at this type of event. Yeah. It's all nonsense, but we take it so seriously and we take it so personally and we confuse it for what's real when really the most authentic thing in the world might be me rocking out to Ants Marching. Just because I go like, it sounds fine to me. It sounds fine.
I know, and there's something so refreshing when an artist like Norm Macdonald, who's just my favorite, he indulges exactly what he likes. He will tweet an entire women's golf tournament, putt by putt, drive by drive. Leanne Wilson just hit a curved a 3-wood into the woods. That's gonna hurt. And you're drawn in. And I can sit there and read the entire fucking tournament on his Twitter feed. And he's the guy that defends priests all the time. Don't tell a fucking priest molesting an altar boy joke in front of Norm Macdonald, because he'll talk about the great things priests have done. He never goes with the status quo. And that's why he's a true artist. And that's why he's the guy I want to listen to first.
Yeah, there's something really outside of show business, those friends that just know who they are. And we're back to the flamboyantly gay guy who lives in Spanish Harlem. Like we like authenticity. And I think the first step towards authenticity is realizing, I say this on my own podcast all the time, but I want to say it as much as I can. Follow your dreams. Just make sure they're your dreams.
Right.
Why does everyone want to be in the NBA? Why does I want to be a comedian. Are you fucking sure?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you want to be rich and famous? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
No, I had a show that I tried to sell for a long time. I did sell it, actually, but it didn't. We didn't go any further than just the script.
The headlines one?
No, this one was called The Dream Police, and it's based on the idea that there's too many people dreaming dreams that they don't believe in, and that they've watched too much American Idol and America's Got Talent, and they've all been convinced by America that you're a loser if you're a fireman. You're a loser if you're a construction worker, that unless you're, following some against all odds performance-related dream, and so the idea was you nominate somebody, you drop it. It's like The Police is the theme, and say it was somebody that you had a friend, Joe, and Joe has been trying to be a screenwriter for the last 10 years, and he is horrible, and like you said, can't finish, and so he's got this fiance. He's a substitute teacher at a school to pay the rent, and he's fucking great. Changes lives. Kids love him. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to be a screenwriter. So every night he's in the Starbucks working on a script he can't finish. He's got a fiance he won't marry until he gets an agent. That's his protocol. And so we pull up in a van, a police van, and we walk in and we arrest Joe. And we bring him to a soundstage where there's an audience. There's like Dave Rath. You have a real manager. Wait,
is this a real guy?
Yeah, it's a real guy.
Oh, it's a non-scripted. It's a reality.
Yeah. And you bring the guy on stage, and you have a lit agent, and you have a real writer. Somebody's up there, Jon Favreau's up there, and you evaluate his writing, and you decide whether or not he should continue with his dream or whether he should be stopped.
Wow.
That's The Dream Police. And you do it for any living. Somebody could want to be a magician. You bring him up on stage. You see him do something. And it's not a talent show. We're not there to evaluate whether or not they're good at this.
I like that. You need to see actors act out his scenes. Like, that's what you need to see.
Yeah, that's good.
You get like Robert Downey Jr. and Matt Damon to do one of his scenes and then be like, how was it?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And but the point is, the criteria is not the quality of the work. It's whether or not they should be following this. Is it their dream? Did your father want you to do this? Was your father a lawyer? So now you want to be a lawyer? Like,
That's
figure
right.
it out. Right.
And it's that level of introspection that a lot of people's dreams. I used to have this bit, I can't really do it, where I was like, I'm tired of people just applauding when someone says they're a teacher, And I was like, we all had those teachers that would walk in hungover and roll in the VCR cart just because there was some Spanish in the movie. And it's like, the big line was, so many teachers just became teachers because they didn't have any other ideas. And they were like, well, what have I been surrounded by? Teachers, I'll try that. And then it was supposed to not get a laugh. And I go, I'm right because we all considered it. And that was the line that would get a laugh.
Yeah.
It was just a little too acrid for me, a little too not funny enough to be so pointed.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing it. But like I like that idea. I'm troubled by it too, because when it comes to dreams, the real, I'm sure you've heard Los Angeles is the only city where you can die from encouragement. Have you heard that? That's true.
Yeah.
And then I think of like January Jones, who was dating Ashton Kutcher, and Ashton Kutcher told her, you're never going to be an actor. Like, you don't have it. You stink. And then she booked, Mad Men. And well, she was probably in Love Actually first and all these other things. But like, there's so many dream police out there, like free range, unqualified dream police. You're saying, let's get some qualified dream police in
right.
here. But I actually question the qualifications of even Jon Favreau, who I think is amazing to police a young screenwriter, because had Jon Favreau been policed by Martin Scorsese, I don't know if he would have written The Mandalorian. I think he might have been snuffed. It's so easy. It's like a dream is like an orchid. It's so easy to kill it.
Yeah.
But it's really exceptional to foster it and grow it. And I think you need to know. So anybody listening, I'm like, you need to be the one that goes like, police your own dreams. I watched this show. It was so weird. Vernon Hills was one of my clubs in Chicago, Zany's Vernon Hills. I used to MC there a lot. And I remember there was this really, really sweet guy. I remember some of his bits. I don't remember his name. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't that how we are? He had a bit where he goes, I saw a sign that said discount haircuts. Yeah, because that's what you want. Nice haircut. Looks discount. Like, that's not a bad bit. So anyway, this guy used to talk to me after shows because I was married at the time. And he was like, I really want to get married, but my girlfriend is worried. She wants me to have a more stable job and all this sort of stuff. So I would sort of advise him, although, knowing what we know now, my wife wasn't exactly super stoked that I was at Zany's Vernon Hills either.
Yeah.
There's a pro tip. Get successful first, then get married.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right.
I'm only half serious. I mean, Ray Romano was married. There are other examples. But before he was successful, I mean.
Greg Fitzsimmons.
And Greg Fitzsimmons, there you go. And I'd actually like to think of more. Kumail. Kumail was married long before his train came in. His muscly train came in.
Right.
But anyway, so this is in Chicago. It had been years since I had seen that guy. And I turn on like the local station. I think it was 9. And that was like the local broadcasting. And there was this reality show where a therapist would come in and like help you with your relationship. And it was the guy. It was the guy from Zany's Vernon Hills. It was Discount Haircut.
Wow.
And the guy took a box. I'll never forget it, because I was watching someone's dream be extinguished. I knew his girlfriend wanted him to quit. And this therapist, I'm like, this therapist is not going to tell him to stay a pirate. No therapist is going to be like, oh, you go out at night and bomb and drink rum. Like, that's good. Be a pirate. No good therapist would have told me to keep being a pirate, you to keep being a pirate. So he took this box and he was like, so what is your dream? He said to Discount Haircut. And he goes, I want to win an Oscar. He was like, okay. So he had an Oscar. Like a model of an Oscar. And he's like, and what is your dream? He asked the wife. He's like, well, she said, I want to be married and have kids. So then he had a little diorama of a family. And then he was like, and then what else? And there was like one other thing. We want to like be together. We want to have a house in fucking Lisle, Illinois. I don't know what it was. And he was demonstrating that if you put the Oscar in the box,
No.
Fits. If you put the Oscar in the box, nothing else fits. And I'm at home screaming at the TV, there's Discount Haircut. He was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't a revelation, but neither was I. Yeah. And I was like, I'm watching a man quit on TV.
Yeah, yeah.
And he did. I never saw Discount Haircut again.
Right.
And that's not to say that maybe the Dream Police in this case weren't right. Maybe he's happier. Because let's be real. Not everybody says the travel about stand-up. Oh, the travel. That is what's hard about it. That is probably my least favorite thing about it. But a close second is the constant criticizing and evaluating my performances. I won't do it on this podcast, but if I did like a show, for the next couple days, I'm going to be subconsciously thinking about the bits. That's where the writing occurs.
Yeah.
It's not free. You know what I mean? It's not free to constantly be thinking about life. It sort of keeps you outside of it. It's a big price to pay.
I think the other thing that keeps you out of life with being a comedian is when you walk into a party, and with the exception of your close old friends, you're the comedian. And there is a pressure on you to either be funny or be interesting, or either way, you are separate from everybody else.
And that's my dysfunction. My wife is a wonderful friend, and she has wonderful friends. And I have a hard time because I look at so many things as transactional. I'll go to a party and I'll go, either I'll be entertaining or I'll be entertained by them, or we'll somehow come up with an idea or something. I don't really know how to just go and be a dog. And dogs are just happy to be there.
Right,
so
right.
I'm just agreeing with you. It's not free. The reason we have these stories of selling your soul to learn how to play the fiddle, you have to keep an eye, I won't say on your soul is a other subject. You have to keep an eye on your essence. You have to keep an eye on your humanity. You have to keep an eye on your interior world. Because if you are just a guy who only thinks about bits and only thinks about himself, this is where you get the vampires. I won't name names, but you know, the older guys who have just been comedians for 50 years, they sort of have a Gollum-like quality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They've got the millions of dollars. Some of them don't. But like, they drew the line so firmly around them because they believed, as the Western mythology tells us, as long as I'm a success, as long as I produce and consume, I'll be fine. But like, you end up sort of being a dragon or a vampire, pick your metaphor. A dragon is in a big castle. Don't forget, the dragon is a success. He's in a castle, but he's with gold he can't spend, and a princess he can't have sex with. He can't access the world, even though a dragon is successful. Same with a vampire. He's immortal. He lives in the best real estate in Transylvania. He's got a tuxedo, but the one thing he wants, he can't have, because everything he meets, he wants to drain it to consume it. He wants to eat everything. He doesn't know how to give.
Right.
And this is the modern stand-up dilemma that we have to be mindful of.
Well, Pete, you are not a dragon. You're a cat. We love you. I am so happy to spend an hour with you talking, and let's do it again. Let's do it again.
I know you enjoyed it, but this outro really sounds like you didn't enjoy it. This outro is the outro you would have given if it was just like, Jesus Christ, it was nice listening to you blow hot wind. I'm going to wrap this up because I get the feeling that as long as I ask.
I am the worst at closing out a podcast. I think I should just say goodbye at the moment that you made a profound thing about dragons. I should have spiked the mic and just gone, Pete Holmes.
Goodbye. This is why on my podcast we have the guests say keep it crispy, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because it gives them ownership over the ending.
Okay. All right. I'm going to plug your podcast. You Made It Weird. Pete Holmes. It comes out once a week, which is fine.
Twice a week, actually. We started doing Fridays. It's been really special. Val and I, there's no guest. So it's our date. On Thursday night is when our nanny comes. So we record a podcast for part of it, and we release it on Fridays. And it's been really really special. It's less show busy. We get deep. We read poems. We read books. It's sort of for the diehards. So we have Wednesday is the guest and Friday is Val.
Oh, nice. Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, that's called We Made It Weird.
Will you give my love to Val? She's fantastic, and I'm happy you guys are enjoying your kid. And
thanks, man. I mean, I know I've already buttered your bread a little bit. You're one of the greats. You're so funny, and I mean, what a life hack. You're just so with it, and you get Val, and that is always such. I mean, I don't think it's hard to get Val, but you've always gone out of your way to make her included on the set, and she just loves you so much. And I was like, that's the guy changing your tire chains. It doesn't take much. Like, don't be a vampire and meet a guy's partner, and we'll both love you for life. So I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for asking me to do it. And
we'll see you soon. All right, thanks, man.
Discount haircuts.
3 times a week. All right, later, man.
Thank you, Fitzdog. I appreciate it, man.